What if reality actually favors those that take lead of their lives and don't wait for anything outside of them? Don't wait for anybody, anything, any event, anything at all, right? Last night, it may have been, I was watching this YouTube short where this woman was talking about how men that want to attract women, or they want to have a partner or something like that, they want to have it lined up before they do things in life. So it's like they want to have that relationship first before they build the life. But what's interesting is that people are usually attracted to people that either already have something built or are building something, rather than waiting for that to be there, to be in place, to build. Right. And I just thought that this was so fascinating too, because I resonate so much with this personally, because over the past like year and a half, 2 years of my life, I've been doing things that I never did before. I have done road trips by myself that I've never done before. I've driven across like 5 fucking states by myself. Um, and even I'm not going to say what it is that I did it for or where it is that I went, but I even had people in my life saying to me, "Wouldn't you rather just do this with people?" And there was part of me that, I mean, I moved to another state. I moved my life to another state. Um, but like there were people in my life that were like, "Don't you want to like do this with somebody else? Like, wouldn't it feel more comfortable, more safe for you?" And I love that I just used those words, comfortable and safe, because that is the theme of this whole thing, right? We only do what it is that feels comfortable and safe for our identity. Let me make this very clear. Me being here on YouTube from the very start was not comfortable or safe for my identity, right? There were times that I got in front of the camera, I pressed record, and I just sat there. I stood like a fucking deer in headlights, and I was like, fuck. And then I would do it over and over and over and over again until I got over the perfectionism of the whole jam, right? Um, we do only that until we change it, which is comfortable to our identity, which is familiar to our identity. I'm going to use the word safe. Safe is like the biggest theme to play with here. We do only that which is safe to our identity. Our identity is like a bubble, right? And we do only that which is inside of our bubble until we become aware of it and we're like, oh, I'm going to grow and expand this thing onward and into different areas, right? We do only that which is comfortable, familiar, and safe within inside this bubble, right? So one of the biggest and most important things in terms of changing your life and doing things differently, right, is not waiting for a person, whether a friend or a romantic partner, not waiting for anything or anyone out there to make you feel comfortable or safe to do something. Like if you want to get in your car and you want to drive from the fucking East Coast to the West Coast, don't get me wrong, it's probably better to have a plan. It's probably better to have money because you don't want to find yourself in a fucked up situation. Of course, there's a certain level of safety that I would argue is necessary for these different endeavors, right? But that doesn't change the fact that you don't need anybody else to do it, like with you. You don't need to wait. The main subject of this is the theme of waiting, which I've talked about, right? When you wait for the outside to change for you to start doing something, right? Before I went full time on YouTube and before I was doing this every single day, I would literally ask people, "Hey, what do you think I should do? Should I do this this, X amount of times a day? Should I do this, this, that, and the other, right?" And I realized that I was just externalizing it way too much rather than just like doing it because I want to do it, right? If I want to get in my car and drive to fucking California, yeah, It's best to have the money in place. It's best to have somewhat of an itinerary of knowing where the fuck I'm going and what I'm going to do, this, that, and the other. Be able to make sure that I can have things taken care of. But I don't need anybody else, right? A lot of us think that we need things to be set up first before we even do anything. For instance, I have ideas about being a public speaker. Like, I have the desire to stand in front of an audience. I took speech class in college, and it was wild. It was incredible. It was a wild experience, right? I have the desire to be a public speaker, and it's like, well, part of me thinks about it. And it's like, well, what credentials do you have lined up? Like what are the prerequisites that you have lined up? A lot of people approach things in life that way. What are the prerequisites that you have lined up? You don't need it. Like, you can do anything you want to right now, and it doesn't matter how good you are at it. Just starting is it. Like, once you start, you put yourself in motion in a certain direction. You commit to an identity of who you are. It's who you are being. Reality responds to that. But oftentimes we wait for reality. We wait for the external to change. We wait for a person to come into our lives to love us so that we can finally feel worthy and love ourselves, right? But the funny thing is, when we're looking for somebody to love us and we don't love ourselves, we're usually going to find somebody with the same fucking dynamic of, they don't love themselves and they're not really going to love you either. I really don't believe that anybody can actually love you unless they love themselves. And if you're looking for somebody to love you and to validate you, you probably don't love yourself, and you're probably going to attract somebody similarly, right? Again, we wait for the external to change, for ourselves to take action and ourselves to change, right? Um, and so, not just a matter of like waiting, and waiting being something that is like toxic and pretty much creates blockages in your life, but also like the reality that when we do wait for things outside of us, we're basically putting our lives on hold. And I've done this before. I've thought about traveling to different places, and I've thought like, oh well, I need somebody to do that with me. That's just a belief. It's not true. It's just a belief, right? And it's like, oh, well, I don't actually need somebody to be with me to do that. I can just do that by myself. But I have beliefs that I would be more comfortable, and maybe that's the reality of the things, right? You would be more comfortable if you had somebody doing it with you, right? So then, what is necessary to do with that is to just fucking do it. Excuse me. Of course, be safe. I wasn't saying excuse me about my language. I had a burp coming up. I don't excuse what I say. I don't believe in doing that. Yeah, you might have a belief. You might have all these different beliefs that things have to be in the right fucking specific order for you to do something. And it's just not true. It's not the reality of the matter, right? And so really like learning to work around that, not even just working around that, but just looking at it for what it is and allowing the fucking belief system that's bullshit to dissolve, and like put you in the right perspective of understanding that you're here for a limited time. What the fuck are you really putting on hold? Well, the reality of that is, if you are putting anything on hold, it's your fucking life, right? And if you choose to continue to put your life on hold, you're going to miss out. That's really what I've realized too. I don't need anybody to do anything. I can do whatever the fuck I want to, whenever the fuck I want to. And I'm being realistic about that too. I'm not talking about bullshit things. I'm talking about the reality, the very fucking reality. And that is just that, like, you don't have to put your life on hold to do something. You don't have to wait for someone. You don't have to be like, oh well, I would like to have a person in my life to do that with. Cool. Once you do it, you'll probably find that person. You'll not even find that person. You'll attract that person. I'm realizing now, at this point in my life, like, as I reflect, I'm going to end off with this because I think this is a really important note. As I reflect, I realize that like all of my relationships from the past have been based around trying and looking, seeking out there, right? And focusing myself out there rather than focusing myself on myself. The reason that my relationships have been the way that they have been is a matter of repetition compulsion, being a certain way, not going to say what it is, um, and both attracting and being attracted to people based on that, right? There's an entirely different energy that attracts when you choose yourself, when you focus on yourself, when you build yourself, right? You attract differently. If you're looking, you're going out there. You know, like the most incredible relationships that I think I've ever heard of have been what again, whether it's friends or romantic, um, have been when people weren't looking. They were just doing what they love. You're going to find the people that are meant to be in your life when you're doing what it is that you love, not when you're allowing yourself to be exploited by other people for selfish and fucked up, manipulative gain and all that stuff, right? And I have found myself attracting people as a result of the way that I've been attracting people that have been that dysfunctional and fucked up way for exploitation purposes, right? More so because I was looking outside of myself rather than inside of myself. Reality is always mirroring to us who we believe we are. So if we believe, this is really what I'll end off with. If we believe that who we are is somebody that needs to put our lives on hold and wait for the external to change to fucking live life, we're going to continue being presented with different things that mirror that by reality. Lack, scarcity, relationships that show unworthiness, this, that, and the other, right? But if we take all of our power back on ourselves and really focus on ourselves, choose ourselves, love ourselves, build ourselves, create what it is that we want within ourselves, right? That is a very different energy and it attracts differently. It is magnetic as fuck to be focused on yourself. Like, unbelievably fucking magnetic. Because who are you going to attract? Well, I would argue healthier individuals that are of, and this could be, I guess, debatable or arguable. I wouldn't really say so, but higher quality. Somebody who is unhealthy can't give you high quality dynamics in a relationship. Somebody who is healthy can. A healthy person cannot have, sorry, let me say that the other way. An unhealthy person, I will seriously end off with this. An unhealthy person, it doesn't matter if the other person is, well, if the other person was healthy, they wouldn't be with the person that's unhealthy. An unhealthy person cannot have a healthy relationship. It doesn't work. It doesn't exist, right? And that's the difference between these two different approaches in terms of relationships, right? You're either looking outside of you or you're looking inside of you. If you look outside of you, you're also going to find people that are also looking outside of them. And they might be looking outside of them for people to exploit. But if you're looking inside of yourself, you're looking for the love that's already in there. And you're finding it and you're watering it and you're growing it, right? And you're also going to attract people that see that you see yourself intrinsically. That's the difference.